Welcome to Tell Me About Your Bike, the podcast about the meaning of life, the universe, and bicycling. My name is Wesley Cheney, and I'm your host. And I'm starting off a mini-series where I'm interviewing bike co-op managers. Thinking about starting a bike co-op in Charleston, West Virginia, where I'm living now. And I decided to pull on the pool of knowledge amongst people who are currently involved in nonprofit bike co-ops. And for the first interview, featuring conversation that I had last month in Princeton, West Virginia, with the manager of the Mercer Street Bike Coop. So let's listen now on Tell Me About Your Bike. Name of my podcast is Tell Me About Your Bike, and my name's Wesley Cheney. I'm thinking about opening up a bike co-op in Charleston, West Virginia with my partner, and we're looking at something on the west side, which is fairly distressed compared to the east side, which is fairly gentrified. Trying to, this is the second co-op that I've visited to kind of get some ideas about how things are running and what it takes to make a successful co-op. So tell me your name and tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Tom Morgan, and I'm the executive director, founder of Lake City Bicycle Co-op in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Okay.
And more recently, the Mercer Street Bicycle Co-op in Princeton, West Virginia. So we've got the bike co-op just right on the other side of this wall here, which is why we're sitting here. And anyway, this is the second co-op that I have started. I did a lot of what you're doing. I went to all the places that I could go. In fact, the reason that we started our first co-op is because we took our bicycles and we went to another. We drove 10 hours and we ended up in Boise, Idaho. At the time we lived in the Idaho Panhandle, northern Idaho.
Okay.
And Boise has a very active bicycle community. They've got an old rail trail that runs right through town.
Wow.
And they got a big college campus there. And so just a few blocks off of the Boise Broncos campus was a little hole in the wall, just like you're talking about, a neighborhood that was kind of away from where the growth was happening. Not up on the hill where all the big houses were being built.
Right.
It was down in the area where rents were still affordable, and so they got started. A lot of college kids, certainly some income constrained people. That's who bike co-ops benefit everybody, but who they really benefit a lot is people who don't have the pocket money to go to a retail bike shop,
right,
and spend full retail on stuff. And so I got a flat tire, which may seem like a bummer, but it was actually absolutely fortuitous. I pushed my bike for a couple of miles to get to this place that I found in a Google search. There was actually a place closer, but I had heard about this co-op, and so I wanted to go check it out. And I'm absolutely glad that I did, because the reason I'm sitting here talking to you today is because of that flat tire 14 years ago in Boise, Idaho. That landed me in that shop at that time. It was one of those moments where, like in the movies, where the zooms all the way out to outer space. And so we took the idea back to our community. At the time, I owned a heating and air conditioning company. I was quite busy. My wife was full-time working, and so we kind of hoped that we could get maybe some younger people, more vital, people to get this thing started. We couldn't get anybody to.
Oh.
In fact, my friends got tired of hearing me talk about it, and so the wife says to me one day, she says, I think if we want to do this, we're going to have to suck it up and do it ourselves.
Okay.
And so we did. I mean, it took, I'm telling you, you better have another income stream when you're trying to do this, and you better have the energy to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes to bring this thing to life.
Right.
But once you get it going, once the community finds out it's there, they support it.
Okay.
And so I had a really good friend that was at the time was still working in law enforcement. He was a local police officer. He jumped on board quickly. He worked with another nonprofit organization that was helping the homeless community. Mm-hmm. And so he says, "Man, those guys need bikes." And so we started working together. And then, from there, it's, everybody thinks, get on social media and tell everyone about it. Well, that's cool to some extent, but you're still going to have to do some old school door knocking. Yeah. Some handshaking, looking people in the eyes. And then the wrench work,
Yeah.
So you better buy hand cleaner in gallon buckets because you're going to have greasy fingers all the time and scratched up knuckles and banged up. There's times, I'm 57, and so 13 years ago it wasn't so bad, but there's days on a busy wrench day where I get up the next morning and go, oh man, my hands hurt, my wrists hurt, and so. But fortunately for us, we, you get a volunteer to come help. You get someone to come in and go, I heard about this, but I don't really know what it's about. And so someone comes in and they see it and they go, wow, this is amazing. So then they go tell somebody. And so, again, you'd think these days with the access to social media that things would grow rapidly, but it's part of the puzzle. It's one of the things you got to do, but it's certainly not the way to develop and grow something like this. It really is one person at a time, who tells a person, and it took us really 6 years to get that shop to where it was doing steady business every single day, the Idaho shop. Okay. So today I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have 5 full-time volunteers working at the shop in Idaho. Okay. We set it up as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And when we made the move down here, we just set our organization up right underneath it's a federal tax ID number, so we're just under the Idaho tax ID. Okay. So we didn't really have to start over. And then we took a lot of the lessons that we learned there over the course of 10 years. Okay. And immediately implemented that stuff here. And so we have taken off here quite a lot more rapidly than the Idaho shop did. The Idaho shop took a long time and a ton of effort to get off the ground. And when I was in Idaho, there's a shop in Missoula, Montana called Free Cycles. Okay. They've been there for 25, 26 years. They're in an old railroad station on the edge of Missoula. Anyway, and they're doing amazing stuff, and they've really become a part of the fabric of the Missoula community. And then we would go again. So then what you do is you go there and you meet these people, and you tell them what you're doing, and then you start to build yourself a network. And so when you get in a tight spot or you encounter something you haven't seen before, you're like, well, those guys have been around 10 years longer than I have. They must have. So you make a phone call. Right. And somebody there says, well, we did encounter that. Here's what we did. Yeah. And so the summer before we decided to move here, we took a trip down the West Coast. And so we took off from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, I-90 all the way across to Seattle. We jumped on Highway 99 went down south of Seattle, Aberdeen, and down the coast. So Highway 99, Highway 101, all the way down. And so, and we stopped in every bike co-op. Right. Google searching along the way, trying to find, sometimes we drive 50, 60 miles out of our way to go to a bike co-op. And so we visited a couple places in Portland. We visited a couple of places in the Puget Sound. We visited a handful of places down the Oregon coast, down the California coast. to see what you always imagine that they must be doing better than us, you know.
Right.
And I was surprised that some of them that had been around longer weren't doing as much business as we were. Some of them that had not been around nearly as long. A lot of it has to do with the people in your organization, you know, and who you want to help, and you know, stuff like that. But anyway, so when we came here, like I said, I was telling you earlier, I really kind of the seed to get this place started was a truckload of bikes that I brought all the way across the country from Idaho, because we had so many bikes back there, many of them that we were never going to get to, you know, just never. And so in order to, you know, make use of them the way that the people donated them intended, you know, we brought them here and put them to use, got this thing started.
All right. Can you give me just a second? Let's. So I'm looking through my questions. First question I got on my list: how much capital would I need to start a bike co-op? I mean, I realize there's a range.
Well, I would say that here you need, you know, when you're looking for space,
yeah,
you need adequate space to set up repair stands. You can start out with one, but if your community picks this thing up and supports you, you're going to find quickly that you need 2, maybe even 3. There's times when I'm in here working on 2 stands at the same time, you know. And if you want to do the things that we want to do, where people can come in and work on their own bike, you want to have a free stand available, so someone can come in and.
So at a minimum, 2 bike stands.
I'm going to say you're going to want to start with 2 stands
and a minimum of 2 sets of tools.
And you're correct. Yeah. And so, you know, a complete set of bicycle tools are probably going to cost you. I mean, you can do it on the cheap and go to pawn shops and stuff like that and find tools, but you really, you know, what we did was we just we started out with probably less than optimal. We just didn't have the budget for it. I mean, we and so, but a complete set of bicycle tools is going to cost you in excess of $1,000.
Yeah, I've been putting out the feelers and saying, hey, does anybody know of a bike shop that's going out of business? Because I know of several bike stores, small bike shops that have started with buying the tools and the stand.
So
a good
repair stand, just a middle of the road good repair stand is probably going to set you back $300.
Yeah,
and then you start acquiring. Most of what you're going to work on these days is going to be all metric.
Yep.
So you're going to want the end wrenches, from 7 millimeters up to 19 millimeters.
Yep.
You're going to want. You'll probably still have a set of wrenches that goes from 1/4 inch to 1 inch. If you're getting into the old vintage stuff, you're going to have just screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, torque wrenches. So like I said, $1,000 is probably minimal to get you set up with a complete set of tools. One complete repair stand.
Yep.
The other thing you're going to consider is, do you own the building? Are you going to lease the building? Are you going to rent the building? Do you have somebody that's going to help you cover those expenses? Or are you coming out of your own pocket at first? Like I said, the first one we started, everything came right out of our own pocket. And so we started in a little hole in the wall. And then a local church that had a big old basement space they weren't using anymore said, hey, we want to help. So then we moved into a big basement space, and we were there for 6 years. And so if you can get... So again, you're going to probably start out in a situation that's not optimal.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself moving. So depending on what rents are in your area and what, if you got a first, last, and deposit, just first, all those kind of things, you got to consider the cost of utilities. And so we've got it figured out right now. Our break even on both shops per month is about $3,000.
Okay.
So that's what, $36,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's just to cover the rent, cover the utilities.
Yeah.
You got. If you want to have internet access, you gotta. How do you want to do that? Do you want to use your phone? Do you want to have a setup? Phone. Do you plan on just using cell phones, or are you going to have a line brought in? Everything that you do, water, sewer, garbage, every single thing that you do costs money, and that expense comes every single month, no matter what you do. So if you don't have donors lined up to help you cover those expenses, or if you can't, like for us, we're fortunate enough that we do enough in bike sales to. The two shops do enough in bike sales every month to cover the expenses. Okay. And we don't have a bunch of reserve, I can tell you that. Okay. So it's a lot of just, there's a little bit of, we could probably go, if we didn't make a dime, we probably have like 2 months of reserve in our bank account. Okay. It's a little scary. It's not. You don't have a. And so, and I don't know, again, if other shops are doing it somehow different, but it just seems to be where we are. Like I said, if you could meet the right people, talk to the right people, maybe find a revenue stream from somewhere that's reliable that you could, but I never count on that. Yeah. The only people that we count on to make this happen is ourselves. If something like that lands on us, it's a fantastic gift. Yeah. But we do not ever operate under the assumption that we're ever safe. Yeah. And so so it's kind of like real life in that respect, isn't it?
It is. All right, let me see what the next question is. You mentioned 5 full-time volunteers
in the Idaho shop.
Yeah.
Here I'm by myself.
Okay.
I do have. I've got a couple of junior high kids that come in after school, and so some days they're useful and that's great. Some days they're knuckleheads and I got to shoo them out because they're not. Not only are they not helping, but they're restricting me. Yeah, and so. But, on occasion, again, we've been in this location for a year, and so it took us, 5-6 years to find volunteers. And a lot of people said, you got to find young people. They're full of energy. Well, I mean, young people are struggling in this world today. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to keep, again, they got a lot. If you got a young family, you're trying to keep the rent paid. You're trying to pay the mortgage. You don't have a bunch of time to. So who I have found that my best source of help is retired people. Yeah. And so they've got their incomes taken care of. They're looking for things to keep themselves occupied. My best 2 volunteers in the Coeur d'Alene shop, I kid you not, Van is 74. Joe is 82. Wow. These guys are both retired. Van was a police officer, sheriff deputy, and Joe was career military. Okay. And so, and then I have a few other folks that are same thing. They're retired law enforcement, and there's all kinds of people that come in and out of there. And then I probably have, for 5 full-time people and then 5 people that just show up at random. Okay. You never know. When the shop's open, they may just pop in, you know? And I haven't developed that here yet. And that kind of a thing, developing those relationships, that's something that's going to take time. Yeah. And so in the meantime, I'm holding it together. I've got I got 3 kids. I got 2 that come in. I got 1 that comes in 3 days a week and 1 that comes in 2 days a week. And so they help a lot. They don't do a lot of like turning wrenches, but they take out the garbage and they vacuum the floors and they make the coffee and they do the things that I don't have to do. So when I walk through the door, I go right to whatever I left off on the night before, and I get right on the wrenches and I get to work.
Okay.
They keep I got a board on the wall that's bikes, intake bikes ready to go out,
right?
Or parts need to be ordered, and so they inventory the parts when they come in. They keep track of the bikes coming in and the bikes going out, and they make the phone calls and let the people know your bike's ready. You can come down and pick it up. And so again, these are things that take the burden of that time that takes to do that off of me, and it's all things that help make the thing more productive.
Yeah,
but
and
finding starting out with a partner is fantastic. Because trying to do this alone, I don't know how. I don't know how. You have to be a special kind of motivated, to take on an endeavor like this by yourself. And the fact that you got a partner to help is amazing.
Yeah. Well, she's a doctor and hospital administrator, so she's the one who's like, why don't you do something that you enjoy doing?
Sure.
And I'm like, really? Thank you.
Well, and I can tell you this, that my wife kind of did the same thing for me. She said, hey, you know what? The ends are meeting. We got things going on. I had been talking about selling the HVAC biz, for a while. And so she says, hey, I'll carry the load at home. Yeah. You put your effort into this. And that's really what made it turn the corner.
Yeah.
And so had that not happened, had she not chosen to support me in that way, you and I might not be talking right now.
Yeah.
Honestly. So.
Yeah. Missteps would you caution against?
Over-promising and under-delivering.
Okay.
That's what happens when you over-promise. I kind of erred on the side of, some of the people that we did a lot of work with. Again, we were working with kids whose foster kids and the homeless community a lot. And so those folks, they get a lot of promises made to them that don't really come true. And so I didn't want to be just another one of those guys that said, oh yeah, we're going to do this thing for you, and then they never saw us again.
Right.
And so I was very cautious to never promise something that I couldn't make sure that it happened.
Yeah.
And then back to the financial side, because really what makes these programs work is money. And so don't get yourself overextended, because if you're in a place you rent, missing the rent means the shop goes away.
Yeah.
And so and one of the situations you'll find is that now you've built this shop and it's full of all this stuff.
Right.
So even if you lose the space, all that stuff has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Yeah.
So do you have the funds to put it all into a storage unit?
Yep.
While you look for a new location, what do you do? So just proceed forward cautiously, boldly,
right,
but cautiously.
Okay.
And all right. If you tell someone you're going to do it, again, just like real life, man. If you tell someone you're going to do it, then do it.
Yeah.
If you're not sure you can, don't tell them you can.
All right. Is it a reasonable goal to break even within 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. My partner will be happy to hear that.
Yes.
That's the goal. She said, can we break even within 2 years?
Yes. It is, again, that's going to depend on the spreadsheet. You're going to have to look at what it cost. You got to realize, and if you can, there's going to be a few times in the first 6 months, even the first year, where you look at the numbers and you panic.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would say that if your mission is is true, and your goals are true, and you honestly, it just takes meeting just the one right person to unlock the next door. And you'll meet them again. This is the thing, like right now in this, I don't get on these tangents, but anyway, the thing with a bicycle, a lot of people, like if you're someone who's fortunate enough to be able to go and just, kids have outgrown their bikes and they need new ones, and just go down and buy a new bike and put the kids on it. That's one thing, and those folks, I think, have a different understanding of what a bicycle means, because it's a toy for a kid, basically. Yeah. But you see the people out here with their whole life in a backpack.
Yes.
Or you see that kid, and I have a kid that he's on a great bike now because I gave him one. But when he first came in the shop, he was riding a bike with the rim strip sticking out the back tire, and so slap, and it would lose air, and he'd come in the shop and go, "Can I get some air?" And so I'd air his tire up, and I'd be like, "You really need to let me fix that," And he didn't have the time right then. And anyway, at some point he came in and he says, "We need to do something with this." And so we got the bike on the stand, and I said, "Buddy, we need to pull this thing apart for the usable pieces. This thing needs to go away. We need to get you on something different." And so, and then you went home, and then a little while later, and it's funny because I've had this interaction before, and so I sent him home with a business card, and I said, "Give this to your mom when she asks you where the bike came from."
Right.
And so I get a phone call from his mother, and so I know her on a first name basis today, and so we have a relationship. She introduced me to another mom with another kid, and so in a year's time we've got a pretty strong connection into this community. Here's the other reality, though, is that there's going to be people that come through the door that make you nervous. Yeah. You're going to have to set some ground rules. I have never, well, I won't say this, in never here. In the Idaho shop, I had a couple of occasions where I had to ask people to leave that were so intoxicated on who knows what that I asked them to leave. Yeah. I would have still tried to help them outside the doors if they hadn't persisted in trying to get inside. And so there are going to be, this isn't all going to be daisies and flowers. It's going to be there are going to be some uncomfortable moments. So you got to be ready to wrap your mind around that. But at any rate, it's you meet a few people. So one of those moms talked to a classroom teacher. That classroom teacher was aware of a student in her classroom that had a need. That classroom teacher talked to the principal of the school, and said, "Here's an organization, they're brand new in town. You may have never." And the principal says, "Oh man, I drive by there all the time. I thought they were like a bike rental shop or something. I didn't know." And so, and really that's how it works. Who would have known that through this mom, to this other mom, to a classroom teacher, to the administrator in the school, and then that administrator in the school works with other programs that help the school. And so then she talks about me to, first she comes down and checks me out and says, "I'm not telling anybody about you until I know." So she comes down, we have a great conversation in the shop. The first thing she does is bring me a truckload of bicycles that I fix up. When they're done, I call her up, they come back, they pick them all up. I don't even know where they went. She's like, "Do you want to be?" I said, "No, you know what, I don't gotta take nobody needs to know. Just get these kids on bikes. Get them out from behind here. Get them on a bike here." And so that was a big one. And then I got invited more recently to a monthly meeting that the Department of Health and Welfare has here in Mercer County, and so I got to speak to a whole room full of basically social workers that go out into the community and help the families that need stuff. And so and a lot of that sounds like giving a lot of stuff away, and it is. But at the same time, those guys also have access and can get you on the list of places that give. Yeah. And so again, it takes time. Mm-hmm. And again, social media is great for continuing to let people know. But again, it like I said, you meet the one person, you shake the right hand, you help a kid in the community, and it's just, and every one of those was a face-to-face meeting. That's why it takes time.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to another episode of Tell Me About Your Bike. If you want to share a story about your bike and the adventures that you've taken on it, contact me by email. My email address is friendwes@mac.com. That's friendwes@mac.com. Please like and subscribe to Tell Me About Your Bike. If there's someone in your life who loves bikes and loves podcasts, please send them a link to this show and share it on social media. In the next episode of Tell Me About Your Bike, I'll be continuing my conversation with Tom Morgan about the Mercer Street Bike Coop. Subscribe now so you don't miss that episode. Keep the rubber side down and keep rolling. Cheers, y'all. Copyright Rambling Ukulele Productions 2025. All rights reserved.